Hey guys, just want to give you a little heads up on everything is absolutely okay. I am perfectly fine. Hope everyone else is doing great. But I've been down quite a few rabbit holes, and it amazes me in today's day and age how we still look at it and we go, oh, she's gone down a rabbit hole, and people think that it's just one drop down a rabbit hole, not realizing that when rabbits make their little burrows, it's a tunnel system. It's like an underground map, and so there are many different areas, and you will find that there are a lot of tunnels that all go to one location. So you can't just follow one rabbit hole. You've kind of got to go down into like several hundred rabbit holes, and it is mind-blowing. And a lot of things I think will come to the light, but that's up to people whether they choose to believe it or not. But yeah, everything has been absolutely okay. And I basically want to touch on, so not long ago, I did a video on the psychological warfare that the CIA do. It was an experiment that they did, and it was the picture of the square and the triangle. Just to surmise for those that maybe haven't seen it, it was a room of like one person, so one normal person off the street and 17 agents. However, they were all made to look like normal people off the street. And the idea is that somebody would hold up a piece of paper and it would have a picture of a square or a triangle, and it was a simple question, what do you see? And the agents in the room would turn around and say the opposite of what it was. So if it was a square they were holding up, they would say, oh, it's a triangle. And every single one of them, all 17, would say triangle. And then it would come to that very last person who was not involved, did not know that there was this like thing going on where they were supposed to say the opposite. So they're looking at it going, this is clearly a square, but they're all saying triangle. So essentially what happened is that 18th person, that normal person off the street, would conform and say, oh no, it's a triangle. And it wasn't. That's essentially what it is. It's people scared to go outside of the narrative. And essentially that is exactly what Julian Assange did. And yet he got demonised. He basically turned around in a room full of people and said, you're holding up a square, instead of saying they're holding up a triangle. And in the end, he was the person that was demonised because he basically he said it as it was. So that was that. But I want to have a look at another CIA experiment, and it's called Operation Mockingbird, and we see it every single day, everywhere we go, and we just don't realise it. Well, we do. We've got the inkling. I think we've all caught on a little bit, but it's what's been happening for years. So this Operation Mockingbird, if anybody has ever watched The Hunger Games, there is a scene in it that has essentially mockingbirds, and they use it as a form of communication. It's simply whistling a tune, and then the mockingbirds would all whistle that same tune until eventually you could find out where something was located. That's how it worked in the movie. And that's how much we see it working today in society, and it has been going on for decades. And we see it in everything, but This is obviously like Meghan and Harry. So if you did a Google search on, say, Meghan and Harry, and you looked at the news section, what you would see is an awful lot of publications and sources saying the exact same thing, just written differently, right? Every single one. Now, that is what we're seeing. That is the Chinese whispers. So essentially, what is happening is, say, a PR team emails in every single publication and CCs them all in, and they all start writing their story based on this one little bit of information. And all it takes is one email. And that's all it is. It's connecting everyone. And the reason that they do that is because, believe it or not, the human brain, if, say, you have a doctor's appointment and you have trouble remembering these things, so you think, oh, okay, then they advise you, the way that they do it is, if you put 3 different mediums, so for instance, if you have somebody tell you, somebody write it on a card, you have it written down in a diary, on a calendar, and that you put it in your calendar on your phone, all of these things, 3 different ways. That's all it takes. And then it is locked into the human brain. That is it. So imagine what happens when you have got hundreds of publications printing out the same story. How locked in does that become? That thing then becomes truth. And what it actually does is allows propaganda to be spread. So we're looking at things like misinformation and disinformation today, but it allows that misinformation and disinformation to become truth. Not because it is true, but because it's been spread through the mockingbird media. That's what it's done. Everywhere you go. And the thing is it isn't just the media that does this. It's every search engine. Google, we look at it every day. We talk about X. We go on X because of the fact that it's the free censorship. It's free speech. Because we're getting censored everywhere else. But why were we getting censored? Because they don't want people to see what you're saying, because the more people saying it allows more people to wake up to what is the truth. It locks in their brain. And the problem is this, the whole thing is much bigger than Meghan and Harry. It's much bigger than moon bums. It's much bigger than lines of succession. Everything. And you will find that it goes through everything. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Everything is connected. And everyone plays the same tactics. So you need to understand what is Operation Mockingbird. Understand the tactics that they use in order to see it for what it is. In order to combat it. Right now, let's just say, for instance, the American public have been gaslit. In fact, the world has been gaslit for so long by the mockingbird media of how the president's health has been. And then you watch the debate and your own eyes can physically see that that is not a well man. And that is not somebody who's going to be able to stand, in my opinion, 4 months, let alone 4 years. So right now you are watching the downfall and the panic of the mainstream media, because essentially they're dealing with a narrative that has been out of their control. They've not had that one email to spread around. Suddenly there's nowhere for them to hide. People have seen that they have been lying to us. So I'm going to end this video, but I'm going to end it with a question, right? And it goes against everything. If they can lie to you regarding this one thing, what else are they hiding and why? And when you start asking those questions and looking for those answers, that's where you will find all these doors opening up and how big this actually is. Till next time, see you soon.